But right now we are in America divided, and it seems one side just can't live with the other right now. Now, I believe we as Americans should all come together. And as much as I criticize the left on this show, and I do, a lot, because frankly right now it's deserved, we should still make an effort, a strong effort, to listen to each other. And just as an aside, I criticize the right too. Elitism in all forms is bad, and we've certainly had that on the right as well, generally referred to as Lincoln Project or neocons. But let's not stray too far and focus on talking to each other right now. In this environment, that's a tough thing to do, especially when you have mainstream so-called journalists saying things like this.
We sit around and we talk about these things, and we want to give this false equivalence to Democrats and Republicans. That is not where we are right now. Republicans are doing something that is very dangerous to our society, and we have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that as Americans. We must acknowledge that as journalists, because if we don't, we're not doing our jobs. We cannot sit here and pretend like, well, Republicans, cut them a break. We want to hear whatever. They have a lot to answer for in this moment. A lot to answer for what happened with the former president of the United States, why they allowed his antics to go on for so long, why he is not accountable, why they go along with it and don't say anything. They've got to answer for that. Why they are, whether you agree with abortion rights or not, why they have taken back a right that was that was granted to American women for 50 years.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, Don Lemon says that Republicans, all of them are dangerous to society. And basically he's saying anybody that voted for Donald Trump, you're dangerous. Not just Republicans, but Democrats and independents, people from all walks of life. And yet the only examples he really cites are J6, quite loosely, in the context of President Trump, and the bogus theory. It was all planned by the White House in order to overthrow democracy, or some such silly idea as that. But also, he lists Roe v. Wade being overturned. That is somehow dangerous to society, and it's the Republicans' fault. Because the Supreme Court that ruled in favor of him, Don Lemon, being able to marry his husband, which he embraced, is now dangerous because they issued a ruling he doesn't like. Weird, right? As long as the Supreme Court rules the way Don Lemon wants, it's great. So Lemon is firmly in the camp of Democrats good, Republicans bad. Like most journalists, and I use that term loosely, most journalists these days, he's mad that CNN's new bosses want to take a more measured approach and actually do something we call the news. You see, in order to do that, I know the first guy that we should be shown the exit. I think we just heard from him right there. But I would argue it's not Republicans who are dangerous, and not even Democrats, at least not the old-fashioned ones, but certainly the socialists of the party, the activists, the elite globalists. They're dangerous because they're trying to do what Don Lemon here is doing, demonizing and then dehumanizing their political opponents. And that is truly dangerous. In a time when we are more divided than at any time in the last few decades,